Okay, let's just jump right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're tackling a topic that's absolutely blown up online lately, but honestly, it's deeply misunderstood. We're talking about Kundalini awakening. Today, we are unpacking the work of Osman, who you might know as the blind yogi. And what makes Osman so fascinating is that he brings a 50-year quest to map out the actual, grounded science of bioenergy. We're going to strip away all that internet sensationalism and look at the structured, almost clinical reality of energetic mastery. So get ready to completely rethink what you thought you knew about esoteric wellness. Now, right out of the gate, we've got to set some ground rules. This quote from Osman lays it out perfectly. He makes it crystal clear that all of his natural-based therapies are meant to complement, not replace, modern medicine. So the absolute key takeaway here is that nothing we're discussing today is medical advice. If you've got a medical condition, you absolutely need to consult a qualified medical professional in your area. This whole explainer is about optimizing the body's natural energy, definitely not bypassing your doctor. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with our bioenergy master, contrast his work with a huge internet myth, dive into the hidden dangers, explore the role of the guide, walk through a safe uncoiling protocol, and finally talk about living a balanced life. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the Bioenergy Master, 50 years of clinical energetics. Osman isn't just someone who took a weekend breathwork retreat and called himself an expert. The guy has been practicing yoga and meditation continuously for half a century. Interestingly, he's actually only been permanently blind since May 2023. This means he brings these incredibly vivid visual memories to his teachings, translating ancient sciences into frameworks we can actually understand today. As a master healer with telepathic capabilities, he focuses strictly on critical care, and his structural protocols aim for a highly scientific 90% success rate in naturally boosting immune function. So we're really looking at this through a highly clinical lens. Moving right along to Section 2, the Internet Kundalini myth, expectation versus reality. So, the catalyst for this whole discussion is that Osman came across a viral video where a guy claimed he had this instant, mind-blowing Kundalini awakening just by using deep intention and some breath work. The guy basically implied that going to gurus or teachers was a total waste of time. But Osman firmly disagrees. Trying to trigger a true awakening completely solo without a foundation, statistically improbable. He literally compares it to winning the lotto. Like, sure, it might happen, but it's exceptionally rare. So that begs the question, if trying to force an awakening on your own is like playing the lottery, what actually happens if you win but you're not prepared? Well, that brings us to Section 3, the hidden dangers, the risks of uncontrolled energy. This is where things get super real. We're talking about the physiological and psychological impact of uncontrolled energy. Osman explains that when Kundalini surges upward at full power without a controlled protocol, it can literally get stuck in your head, like trapped. And it can't easily be brought back down. Physically, this causes severe, totally debilitating headaches. But honestly, the mental distress is even worse. This sudden surge releases massive amounts of pent-up emotional baggage from your subconscious all at once. It's an absolute explosion of buried trauma that your conscious mind is just entirely unequipped to process so quickly. Osman absolutely does not mince words here. He explicitly warns that an uncontrolled Kundalini release can trigger sheer psychosis. He points out that family members or doctors, who obviously might not understand the energetic root cause, might find it necessary to have you permanently committed to a psychiatric institution, literally for life. This completely shatters that whole internet narrative that this is just some fun, blissful superpower you can unlock in your bedroom on a Tuesday. It's a massive bioenergetic event, and it demands profound respect and extreme caution. Let's look at Section 4, the role of the guide, the missing element of mastery. So you've got to ask yourself, why is it so essential to visit a guru or master, especially if you're super disciplined and can just practice breathwork at home? Like, what is the actual mechanic that a master provides? Well, the answer, according to Osman, comes down to a concept called the seed. And this completely debunks that internet creator's claim that his gurus didn't do anything for him. Osman explains that a true, safe awakening practically requires an advanced master to impart this energetic seed directly into the student's biofield. It is a foundational spark. Even if a teacher just plants that seed and then lets you do the rest of the breathwork on your own, it's that initial transfer of spirituality that makes the whole process actually work smoothly. But it actually goes even further than just planting a seed. Let's talk about the mechanics of a teacher's aura. Osman notes that simply sitting in the presence of an advanced spiritual guide has a huge effect. Their highly evolved aura passively cleanses your internal emotional blockages. You don't even have to be talking to them. Just sitting quietly in their presence actually reduces your natural resistance to the awakening process. And the crazy part is, these effects compound. Visiting multiple times systematically prepares your body and mind. That way, when the awakening does happen, you completely bypass those catastrophic emotional explosions we talked about earlier. All right, let's get into the solution. Section 5, the Safe Uncoiling Protocol, a step-by-step clinical approach. First, we kind of have to look at the word itself. Kundalini literally translates to coiled up, and Osman visualizes this in such a beautiful way. Instead of picturing a sudden, violent lightning strike of energy, think of a coil releasing in progressively larger concentric circles. The smallest circle is right at the center, and it slowly uncoils, expanding stage by stage, getting larger and larger until it reaches its full circumference. This whole concept of slow, progressive expansion, that is the ultimate secret to safety. And here is the exact 4-step protocol Osman uses to ensure his students never have a negative experience. Step 1. He awakens their spirituality first. Step 2. He actively unblocks all the major energy centers along the spine before anything is released. Step 3. He imparts that crucial energetic seed we just discussed. And finally, step 4. The energy is released incrementally at a very low power level. He never, ever just opens the floodgates full throttle. He says doing that is basically going cold turkey, and it's super dangerous. So why this low power mode? It's all about building strength. By releasing the energy little by little, your body and your psychology actually have time to adapt. But more importantly, if the energy travels up to the head because it's at low power, you have the conscious strength to just push it back down at will. Practicing this builds a very specific energetic muscle. You practice pulling the energy down every day, and your strength increases proportionately. That way, when the full, maximum power eventually surges through you, you've already built the absolute mastery required to control it, completely avoiding that terrifying stuck state. Okay, moving to our final segment, Section 6, Living a Balanced Life, Modern Spiritual Mastery. Osman's core philosophy is incredibly grounded. With his level of attainment, he could easily just isolate himself in a monastery, stay in a state of continuous bliss, and completely check out of society. But he explicitly chose not to. He really wants to be a living example that you can engage in these advanced esoteric sciences while keeping your feet firmly planted on the ground. True mastery, in his view, means you absolutely do not have to give up your family, your income, or your business. You can run your normal, everyday life while maintaining this incredible internal balance. And the real-world symptoms of doing this correctly might actually surprise you. A safe, controlled awakening doesn't look like a chaotic psychological break. Instead, you're going to notice quiet, organic changes. You might slowly drift away from relationships that are just no longer adding value. You might find that the podcasts or topics used to binge suddenly feel a bit boring, and you naturally gravitate toward higher value connections. Your diet and lifestyle simply find a balanced, natural equilibrium. It's a gentle evolution, guys, not a violent disruption. So I want to leave you with this question as we wrap up today's explainer. How can you apply a more structured, methodical, and patient approach to your own wellness journey without falling for all those sensationalized myths floating around the internet? Osman's 50 years of clinical focus really shows us that real transformation isn't some viral hack. It's a careful, guided science. Take a step back, look at the foundation you're building, and remember that sometimes the slowest, most controlled coil yields the absolute most powerful and sustainable release. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.